be out here for a while with that type of diagnosis?
Yeah, I feel awful. Filip was off to a really good start here. Obviously, you got the Sweden trip coming up for a number of different reasons. Yesterday you get that news, and it's terrible. At the same time, though, like when something like this comes up, this goes way beyond hockey. This is about the person, and I'm just very thankful. I think we're all very thankful and grateful that the medical staff here was able to figure this out as quickly as they did, and now they can start to do everything they need to just to get him back on track and take care of him. But this is it goes beyond hockey. This is about the person, and just I'm happy that they know it now, and they can start to work on things.
Is there long-term concern with his health, or is it something they feel like they can get it under wraps here in the next few months, and it'd be something he'd be able to resume his career and all that stuff?
No, this isn't something that they're looking at as life-threatening. It's going to be a while. It's going to be at least 3 months. But no, so it's obviously this was something, I think it was yesterday there when the question came up, it was at the time we were still evaluating, it was still looking at his day-to-day, and then obviously you get this information and things change there quickly. I'm just thankful that they caught it, and big credit there to the medical staff of just going in and seeing that they needed further evaluation to be able to find out that it was a blood clot.
Without being too intrusive, are you aware if he's ever had a history of this, or just maybe how this developed? Did he get hit with a puck or something like that in practice or a game, or just any other details that you're allowed to know?
Yeah, for me, it's not going to be something to get into all those details there. Yeah, but no, I think this right now they're looking at 3 months plus. Right now it's just about making sure the health of the person, number one, and then getting them back to being an athlete. So,
Dan, all teams go through this sort of thing throughout the course of a year with the amount of injuries that you guys have. But what can you learn about the group given this situation, and you guys going on out to Sweden and all that coming up here, just the test of all of that coming together at the same time?
I think we're learning. We're learning every day, and the situation is going to change all the time. Right now it's there was an opportunity here, starting last night for a number of new players to come in here, and be able to work to establish their game. For guys to maybe take on different roles than they had in the past, and be able to kind of show what they can do in those situations. And for the group as a whole too, every night there's going to be something new that comes our way that we can learn from, and we can learn about our group from. And so I think there's a lot of learning that can take place right now, both on an individual level, but then also on a team level. Last night we got in a situation that was very similar to one we'd been in just a few nights before. A few nights before we weren't happy with the outcome. Last night, we were being in a similar situation. I think we learned a lot about our group and how we can, make sure that we come out there on the right side of things. So.
Speaking of the Sweden trip, I'd imagine you'd be able to take extra players over there. Do you know how that's going to work? How many players you're going to bring to Sweden?
No, it's our roster, yeah, and so we'll go. Obviously, I think once we get closer, we can talk more about that and exactly how that's going to work. But that's not something where it's yes, you can. The rules suddenly change drastically. I think in regards to bringing an extra goalie over, that is something that I believe we'll be able to do, but. It's not suddenly a new roster limit there, just because we're going overseas. So.
Kevin Hayes looked pretty well involved in practice with the third line as well as your second power play unit. Do you anticipate him being an option for tomorrow, and just how useful is the utility he offers, particularly as you're going through a spate of injuries here right now?
Yeah, he'll be traveling with us to New Jersey. We'll announce the roster or the lineup tomorrow. But in terms of the question about his utility and what he brings, I think he brings a lot. I think he's, getting into the team practices here. While we haven't practiced much in the last, few weeks, having a couple there today, even though today's was short, it's been good for him to just kind of get into some stuff with lines and be able to, get up and down the ice with the group where it's not a small group. And I think he's a guy that can add a lot. In a lot of different places in the lineup, obviously on special teams, You saw him even in practice today there, just working on the power play, and that's something I think his entire career has been an area that he's been really good at. He's killed penalties in the past. He's a guy that, center's natural for him, but he can also play the wing, and so there's a lot there. A big body with his size and his hands. It's great for him. It's a tough road there when you get injured right the first day of training camp, so I'm just happy for him that progression has continued to move along. I think he looks good out there. When the time comes, again, we'll see. So
you guys have the top power play in the league now. You're top 10 in the penalty kill. I know you've mentioned this is a collaborative approach with the coaching staff, but what can you say about the work that Todd and Mike have put into those units this season and its success?
Yeah, and all those guys have done a great job, just in terms of outlining the plan, communicating the plan, working with the players there in the special teams. I think the nice thing with both of them is, and this is a credit to them and the work that they've put in, is just the growth that you've been able to see, since the beginning of the year. I think that's been pretty consistent, and that's what you want to have there, with your special teams. I think it's such a big part of the game, but both guys have done an amazing job there, just in terms of that preparation that goes into it for our side, looking at the opponent, the game to game. It always changes a little bit based on your opponent, and just making sure that the players are, in a position to go out there and to execute.
You've had to juggle your third pairing a bit this season. What did you see last night from Graves and Clifton? Maybe more specifically from Connor Clifton.
No, I thought they had a good game. I thought it was, I think in a good way sometimes it was a quieter game, in that there wasn't anything real loud that's going out there. I thought they just did a good job. I thought the gaps were good. I think with Gravy there on one of the goals, he did a really good job of just keeping the play alive, in the zone, which led to the goal. I think with Cliffy there, again, I think he was the box outs, so taking away time and space, that low defensive play. I think that's always been a big part of his game there, with both guys. But it was good. It was solid. I think especially for a new pair coming in, first, for Gravy, first, NHL game this season, and for Cliffy, it's been a little while. So for those guys to hop in there, I thought they made an impact, a positive impact in last night's game.
There's a possibility Sergei maybe makes his debut
This weekend?
No, no, it's a good try. I figured, I assumed somebody was going to ask. So, not going to comment at all here on tomorrow's lineup or the weekend plans.